All right, I think we're good. Let's go in here and see if this works.
The stream ain't even on yet on this thing.
So it looks like it's going. Now I gotta, let's see if we're on from here.
I can check on YouTube.
Yeah, it says live. Let's see what it looks like.
Yeah, on this thing.
Cool, so that's good. Mute this. So we have the chat. So it looks like it's going. Now I gotta, let's see if we're on. Yeah, it's on, right? You can hear it.
Check on YouTube.
All right, now I'm gonna tweet this. It'll be good.
Yeah, on this thing.
So what's up, man? How's it going? How we doing?
So,
This. Chat. But it looks like it.
are we on?
Yeah,
I'm
we're
trying. Hang on, do some troubleshooting. I pulled it up, but then it was like it was messing my audio up. So did he?
You don't have to have it pulled up if you don't want to.
ESPN is so brutal, dude. Is yours? I can't get the game on. Dude, what about Ikone last game? After I was speaking to
Yeah, I was literally watching and I was like, Jesus, this dude.
yeah, he's a monster, huh?
He's
we're on.
He's crazy.
12 minutes. What do you think the standard delay in like MLS kickoff is, like minute wise?
So it's not standardized. Like they always move it to like the half hour before the actual kickoff time is. So normally, if you see like a 3:30 or a 4:30, the kickoff time is like 4:55, and they just moved it up like a half hour for TV. But if it's like a 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock, it's normally somewhere like 15 minutes or so. They do publish them. Like it's just hard to find.
Yeah, we're on. Is there any lineup news? But again, are we live now? Are we live on the thing?
Yeah, we're live.
Let's go.
I just tweeted it, so we are good there. Let me retweet it from my account.
Get some peeps in here.
Yeah. Probably should have tweeted this like before like we started doing it, so that people could plan for it. But it's all good.
I mean, we didn't know it was going to work. It's a bit of an impromptu troubleshoot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You got any players in this game? I'm sorry.
No, I don't have any NYC or Montreal guys really. I had Kamal Miller for a hot second, but then he jumped in price, and I was like, I'll just sell, because he's also there's a bunch of Canadian national team players that I've been kind of interested in, but yeah, I don't own any of them.
Did you see my? I picked up Fonzo Davis.
Did you?
I'm ready for
we were talking about. I almost did too. We were legitimately talking about that.
And I've got Jonathan David still lingering in the gallery, so I thought it's a mini stat. It leaves the door open to pick up like a Larian and maybe a Buchanan as well.
So we got our good guy Bob Flynn out in the chat here. So what's up to you, Bob? Good to have you along. He said Keaton Parks needs to come in right away and score.
I miss dude. We need to get Bob back on the show soon.
We do need to get Bob back on. It's been too long.
You know what we need to do when we do these? Get like the video like address, and then like if Bob wants to hop in at half time, give his thoughts, we'll get him in here. They'll
We
5
can't get
minutes.
Bob in here. It'll mess up all the sizing and everything. So it'll probably take us a few minutes to actually get him on. But I mean, I could have a 3-person thing ready to go. I don't know if I could do it today, but
maybe next time we'll figure out how to check. But that'd be fun just to get people jumping in and giving their thoughts to the game or whatnot.
Yeah, that would be a whole lot of fun. So we're in here.
I didn't know is Bob still doing soccer, or is he fully in the MLB now and the NBA?
I feel like he's a basketball guy. I mean, maybe you could speak to this better, Bob, but I think Bob's going hard in basketball. He's definitely hard in baseball. He's up in like the unique division in baseball. He's like a proper whale now. So yeah, Bob's all over the place. He sold a lot of his soccer gallery, I saw though.
Still
I think a few people did.
Ben Bender in there.
Yeah, right. All right, let's see. So we've got the need to know. This is the best place to go for like pre-match stats. MLSsoccer.com has like 5 things that they pre-match that are always like very interesting. So this one says NYCFC beat Montreal 4-1 at home in March before the sides played to a scoreless draw in Montreal on July 30th. The draw was only the second clean sheet that Montreal has kept in its 16 matches against NYC, also keeping a 0-0 at Yankee Stadium in April of 2019. Montreal made it 5 for 5 in home playoff games with a 2-0 victory over Orlando City in the first round. Montreal's outscored opponents 10-3 in its first 5 home playoff games and has trailed for only 4 minutes in those games, going behind to the Crew in the first half of a 2-1 win in the 2015 conference semifinals. So Montreal has never lost a playoff game at home. That is wild.
Yeah, that's absurd. Who the hell is Kevin O'Toole?
I feel like he's a Sorare guy, isn't he?
No, Kevin O'Toole. Is he? I don't know. Unless my thing's messed up. He's starting ahead of, or Magno maybe got injured or something. I don't know.
Oh, do you have the lineups up? Go through the lineups with us.
Well, this is on Sorare data. It's got the standard. I mean, unless they've got a.
I've got lineups here.
I wonder if this is their formation.
Yeah. No.
They've got Callens at left back. Has he been playing?
MLSsoccer.com has the same thing. It has Callens at left back and it has Kevin O'Toole as the left winger. No Tallis Magno today.
Tallis Magno on the bench.
That's kind of shocking, to be honest with you.
There's got to be a story behind that, isn't there? I mean, I can't see. I don't even know who Kevin O'Toole is, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I've literally never
100%. And Acevedo in the midfield as opposed to Keaton Parks, Bob's guy. Thiago Andrade isn't even starting. Like, you would think if it wasn't Tallis Magno, it'd be like Thiago Andrade. This is a very odd lineup for NYC.
I was wondering. I wonder if they're doing like a formation change or something. I don't know. Maybe not.
This is wild. I mean, everything looks pretty standard for Montreal. Pantemis, Miller, Camacho, Waterman in the back, Lapalainen and Johnston as the wing backs, Mihailovic, Wanyama, and Piet in the midfield, and Kone and Kamara up top. Like, very standard. Kyoto's on the bench again. He's coming back from injury, so they're trying to. He could have played in the last game, so I assume he's available off the bench, like for some good minutes here. Mason Toye available off the bench, so should be basically their best lineup.
What I liked about Montreal in their last game was they have that base, that 5 at the back with the wing backs. Wanyama and Piet are just solid in the middle, and then they just say go do what you want to kind of Georgie and Kone, and they just kind of float around everywhere, and they're so effective, like such talented players. Yeah. And it's kind of, even though you think I think of Montreal as somewhat of a pragmatic team. Like, with them 2 guys in there, it was actually pretty fun to watch the spaces they were picking up, and like it's not as they have a real nice balance there, and that's probably why they've been so effective.
Did you notice? Yeah, Kone had a lot of space too. He was just kind of roaming everywhere, which
he was just like a kid in a playground, just going where he wanted, in the best possible way. He just he seemed like he just had that freedom because Wanyama's still a beast back there, and Piet's the captain, and he's a solid CDM too. So, but they're not going to be sort of bombing up and down. So, just kind of freed him up, and he really hurt him last game.
Yeah, Couple things coming in from the chat. So our guy LaBear says the O'Toole guy started before for like 5 games, and he says Talis Magna wasn't fully fit. So I guess that makes some sense, but that's still kind of a weird one. And then Bob is asked, when did Montreal decide Bereza was no good and go with Pantemis as the man? They've flipped back and forth between those two for like 2 years, and Pantemis has started like the last few games. I want to say like 5 or 6 games. Yeah, I don't trust either one. It's becoming a Toronto situation for me, like with Bono and Westberg, because I just want to stay away from it. And they've both been on loan at times, and it's like I don't know what's going to happen long term. Like literally ever since Diop left, I've just not had any interest in having any Montreal goalkeepers, which is weird because they're like the second best team in the East. So you would think that you would want those guys on your team, but guess not.
Yeah, I mean the goalkeeper situation in the MLS on Sorare is such a headache, isn't it? Like, I'm going into next season. I told you I'm rebuilding. I'm getting out of some Euro cards and just trying to really set myself up for the next MLS season. But I just hit like a mental block, like when it comes to the goalkeepers. I don't even want to think about it. You know what I mean? There's a couple obviously safe places you can go, but you just never, like year on year, like defensively, you never know how teams are going to perform. And when they're bad in the MLS, they're really bad for Sorare. So it's kind of it's a tricky, it's a real tricky one. I kind of should. I'm not sure when the Argentinian league starts, but that's been my strategy this year, to go Argentinian defensive stack and then get some ballers in the MLS to try and do something up top.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning a lot more heavily towards that, just also because there's just a lot of goals scored in the MLS, right? There's a high scoring league, so that doesn't tend to lend itself very well to guys that are a little bit more defensive, and you can still get away with some of these fullbacks that can provide some assists, but it's tough to really trust even the center backs that can rack up AA, because they can give up 3-4 goals in a game and just get wrecked on their AA score. So it can be a tough thing to trust MLS backlines and goalkeepers especially, because it seems like goalkeepers in this league just rotate like crazy for no reason. Like they're not really playing a lot of midweek games. It's like they don't have enough games to get like 2 or 3 goalkeepers enough opportunities, so they just rotate just for the sake of rotation, and it's just the most annoying thing that you'll ever see in life. So yeah, I think I'm starting to get away from that kind of side of things, I guess. But I still have some guys. Like I still have some guys that I think are going to be better next year. Yarborough, I own. Drake Callender, I think is really, really good. A young guy from Miami, and then obviously I have my super rare Brad Guzan to get me up into D2. So it should be interesting to see what that does going forward. And we've got a few more chat guys here. Christoph says, hi guys, hope for a great game. Can't wait for next season and the possibility to watch the MLS via Apple, which is a big thing. Definitely going to be huge for our overseas friends, which a lot of people are overseas. Apple should do a great job, and hopefully we get some more kind of inside content on that one. And then Jorge says he's looking for a Kamal Miller hat trick, so good luck with that one, my guy, but we'll see how that goes.
Got some optimists in the chat there.
Yeah, really, some real optimists. Jorge, obviously the host of our Sorare in the States basketball podcast, which has done some great stuff, and may have a certain Irish gentleman on next week as a guest. So we'll see how that goes. We're in negotiations right now. He's got people.
I was looking at Santi Rodriguez for next season. I actually put in a cheeky offer to someone for a super rare, because obviously but I took it back pretty quick because I was a bit worried about. I realised he's on loan on paper. He's currently on loan from like another team within the City group, I think from Uruguay. Really? And I'm a bit worried about his situation. I couldn't really find anything clear on it. I didn't know if you knew anything more than that, whether it's going to be confirmed next year. I mean, I haven't heard much about him leaving, but I'm still now scared that he's had a pretty good year, and maybe he goes to Girona or something like Tatty did, and he just dead car.
Yeah, no, I haven't really heard anything about that. I assume they're probably doing that for MLS salary cap rule manipulation wise, because there's like different rules. I mean, you still have to pay the players that are on loan at your team, and they still count towards the salary cap. But it's just a little bit different. And we have now kicked off in the Montreal New York City game, by the way, so we'll keep you updated on that.
What are you thinking? What do you think in this game? You think Montreal can do it at home? I mean,
I think they're a little irresistible at the moment. Like I thought Orlando had a better chance in this game than New York does. I'm not a fan of New York ever since Tati and Ronnie Dyla left. They have just not been good. They've been okay. They've just not been great. And they're going up against a Montreal team that's full of confidence and at home. They've never lost a playoff game at home, so it should be an interesting game. But yeah, I kind of fancy Montreal here, which is kind of wild because I've been on the Montreal hate bus for most of our time here this season.
I mean, it's what we spoke about before. Like when it comes to these big games, you did see against Orlando. I thought Wanyama had a really good game, and like that. Like you talk about experience, it really kind of pays off in these kind of bigger moments. Like they're going to be fired up today, and you need some people to be able to put your foot on the ball early and just calm everyone down. Yeah. And like New York has some unbelievably talented players. You know, we can talk about Rodriguez, Pereira, I really like, but Acevedo. But maybe like the experience, they're going to need Maxi to really come in and sort of.
Yeah,
I think
that's the wild part.
Not getting carried away in a moment like this. So whereas I think Montreal just have their system more of a balance. I think they just kind of know what they're doing. And like we said, them two, Mihailovic and Kone, they are the young guys. They are like the X factor pieces, but they can kind of they already have that freedom to do what they want and make mistakes and, you know, try things out in this system. And because it pretty much like, with no disrespect to the rest of the team, there's not much else in the terms of creativity there. So, you know, they kind of get licensed to do as they will.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right on that one. Maxi will kind of be a bit of an X factor in this game, and he could be something huge. So going to the chat here, we go back. Quinny said he needs Wanyama more than NYC to move on to the next round here. We've got Christoph saying
that's a Sorare dilemma, isn't it? So
yeah, he's a big NYC fan, and he's going for Montreal in this game because he needs his Victor Wanyama.
Really shows where your allegiance starts to lie. You know?
Yeah, right.
I'll do that sometimes. Like West Ham will be playing, but they'll be playing at the same time as like, you know, an Eredivisie game where I've got a couple guys I need to do well, and I'll find myself switching it over to like the final game or something instead of watching my own team.
Yeah, that's funny. Christoph has said, currently Portland is almost impossible to watch except for the live streams on Twitter. So the Apple deal next year definitely going to be helpful with that, and you'll actually get to watch some of these games and kind of get to know a little bit of these players, so you can kind of follow a team, you know, if you're in Europe, which will be a lot nicer than just watching kind of the national TV games that are on everything. And then Quinny said Tati just dropped a DA, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean
for Girona, I'm assuming, because I don't think he's in this game.
Yeah, I think he's been doing well. That's the thing. It's like, I mean, maybe like if you that's kind of what I was saying about Santi. If you own him and you're like, all right, I like this guy, he's going to be my guy for 10 years. I'm going to kind of follow his career. If you believe in him as a player, it's not the worst strategy. But we're so short term on Sorare that even he goes somewhere like Girona and is still getting goals, like scoring goals in La Liga from the MLS is a step up. And like if he nabs a few goals for a team like that this year, it'll be a success for him personally, and it'd probably be his career arc. But Sorare is still, he's just not going to be putting out the same numbers. But
yeah,
slide
a little bit to your I think it's your left. Yeah, there you go. Now you're in picture.
You want to get a face in it, you know?
Yeah, we gotta get that beautiful face in here. This is what the people pay the big bucks for. So we gotta get it in.
Yeah.
So we're about 5 minutes in here. So far, NYC are on the front foot a little bit. They've put more pressure on. No real chances. Any thoughts so far?
No, I mean I think Montreal just keeping their shape early. You see Wanyama they're not really looking to sort of break lines or do anything. They just want to settle into the game. Probably both teams do.
Oh! 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 Ladies and gentlemen, we have a goal. NYCFC has scored 5 minutes in on the road. It's a big, big goal there. They got to the end line and cut it back. Breza, or it's Pantemis in the goal. Pantemis kind of came for the ball on the end line, didn't get it, and then it was just an empty net. A couple defenders on the line, but NYC is up 1-0 as we play 5 minutes in.
Wow, yeah. I think I'm delayed on you. I'm gonna refresh my thing but yeah, Maxi. But I mean, we spoke about the goalkeeper. He hasn't covered himself in glory there, has he?
No, I don't think he comes for that ball. I think that's a huge mistake there. Just let it run to the end line and play defense because the goalkeeper's not getting to that anyway.
Yeah.
Maxi scored.
That's just a rush of blood from the keeper there. He's not going to score from there, Pereira. He can't earn. He just got to cover his near post.
Right.
Decision making, yeah. But that's a big goal, and I mean that might be a good thing for the neutral. An early goal never hurts because I think if it was the other way around, we might see a different game now. If Montreal get the lead early, I think we'd see a much more of a sort of them sitting back and trying to counter attack. But NYC aren't a team necessarily that are going to sit back and absorb. So hopefully for the neutral, that should be a bit of a touch paper for a good game coming up here. Because now Montreal kind of have to really start pushing on, getting them wing backs forward.
Yeah, it was no sooner had I said NYC's on the front foot than they created a chance. And even since the goal, they've been the better team going forward, and they've got a lot more numbers forward than Montreal does. And now
Montreal's
going on a counter now that I said that.
Card. I wish there was a Pereira card. Every time I watch him, he just looks effective, like dynamic, direct.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see next season some of the newer guys. I think there was more hype last year for some of the guys that didn't have cards. Because now with so many leagues covered, a lot of guys come in and they already have cards coming in too.
Yeah.
And they've just flashed up on the screen here. Montreal is 5-0-0 all time in playoff games at home, and they've only trailed for 4 minutes. So they've conceded very early here.
They've about doubled
to work their way back in.
4 minutes, haven't they? Yeah. Yeah, I have a feeling there's going to be more goals in this game, man.
Yeah, I mean, you would hope, right? Like NYC aren't really the type of team to sit back and just put their foot on the ball. So if Montreal kind of come out and play, you kind of expect, like you said, to your point, kind of a wide open game, I guess. So
I might have to pick up a Georgie card, you know. I fancy him to do well in the Eredivisie.
Let's talk about this. How is the quality of the Eredivisie compared to the MLS? Is it a step up? Is it a step down? Or is it the same?
I would say they're pretty close. I wouldn't be confident saying it's a step up or a step down. There's obviously teams in the Eredivisie. Like, I guess that's kind of the difference. Like, because of the structure of the MLS, you don't get an Ajax, you know. Right. There's like Ajax would obviously just sort of dick on anyone in the MLS and the PSVs and that. But
right,
you know, once you get down to them sort of middling teams, I bet some of the better teams in MLS would give them a proper game and probably I'd probably take them.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I think you nailed it.
Like Georgie, yeah, I think a player like Georgie will have no problem finding the level there. You look at Pepe, what he started to do now at Groningen, got another goal today against PSV. He's not having any trouble. So yeah, I think Georgie will enjoy his time out there.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, right? Like Ajax, PSV, probably better than any of the MLS teams, but there's some teams at the bottom that are worse than any of the MLS teams. So like, you probably have some matchups that are going to be better. Oh my goodness! Did he save that, or was it off the post? I think he saved it. Big chance for Montreal, right in front. Kai Kamara gets a header, and it looks like Sean John got a save to that, and it's going to be a corner. Montreal's been a little bit better these last 5 minutes here.
That was a good header by Camera. It was kind of behind him. He had to really angle his body on that one. It's done well.
I think he would have been offside. Might have got kicked in the face actually.
Yeah.
Because the defender tries to clear it with his foot, and Kai Kamara goes in with his head.
Is he off? He might be off.
I think he's off. But they've given a corner, from what I can see. They're kind of lining up for a corner.
I think the fullback might have kept him on, the one who's blocking the cross. Come on, camera, you're all right.
And now Chanot has gone down.
Big man.
Tommy B says Vanderwater couldn't get a game for Orlando, but he's starting in the Eredivisie.
Yeah, fair point.
That's an interesting point too. Yeah, I think, and you look at Pepe at Grondgein. Yeah, just like you mentioned, like great observation there. He's killing it over there.
Yeah, and I mean he's not doing his. When you talk about the World Cup coming up, he's kind of coming hot at the right time. You know, I mean, I don't know where he fits into the whole picture there, but he was kind of looking like he's out of it, and then I don't know. You know.
I mean, no one's like claimed that spot, right? No one's really put their foot down and said this is going to be my job. Like Jesus Ferreira is kind of maybe the best, but yeah, I mean it's there's no one that I'm like that guy has to start, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, yeah, and like. Yeah, like, I mean, Pepe, when he was playing with Ferreira, was more, I'd say, more highly rated, wasn't he? Just kind of, he wasn't getting a game over there. He wasn't, and Ferreira just kicked on and had a really good season. So, but yeah, if Pepe bangs a couple more goals in the next couple of weeks, yeah, he's putting his name in the hat. That's what you can do. And you want him, from a US fan perspective, you want him coming in at confidence, because you need attacking players that can change the game and offer you something different, and Pepe definitely can do that. Yeah,
no, 100%, and that's the thing, right? The confidence is the big thing with him. Jorge, who's a big Orlando fan, said Vanderwater just couldn't stay healthy in Orlando. He thought he was a good player, but he had some good crosses, but he just couldn't stay healthy. So maybe a part of the reason as well. So Chanot's come off. We've still been waiting this whole time for this corner to be taken. Chanot is now off the field, and he's gonna be subbed off, I believe. So that's a big blow to the NYC back line early in this game.
Looks like his hamstring went on that clearance.
And Bob's guy Keaton Parks is coming in. So
yeah, good.
I guess that's a formation change, or I don't think Keaton Parks is gonna play center back. So I mean, I guess he could.
He's a player that could play centre back. I could see him playing centre back if he's. I almost feel like his ceiling could even be higher. I don't know how he is defensively. Probably have to work on it a bit, but he's a real quality player, Keaton Parks. I really think next season is massive for him. Like, he's obviously just had real bad luck with health and injuries and whatnot. But like, he's. I watched him first game of the season. The Galaxy, I went to that game, and he came on, and he was, you know, there's a lot of stars in both teams there, and he just looked quality, composed, confident, and kind of a bit like, I mean, it is another jump up, but like we were talking about early when I said I watched a couple of, you know, Ricky Puig play a couple times, and before I bought him, and I just.
There's a shout here that looked to me like a penalty live. And I think that was Georgie who was knifing into the box, and the defenders just collided with him point blank, and the ball's gone on. I I mean, that looked like a penalty to me live. The ball's not gone out of play. So they have not stopped to review it yet.
I think if you slow that down, it's going to look like even more of a foul.
Yeah.
He was getting the ball, but...
And now there's a foul, and are they going to take a look at this now? It's not as much of a collision as you thought, but the defender has 100% gotten in his way. And they've just played on. No stoppage here, no VAR.
Yeah, I mean, it was like one of them where like the defender can't do much there. You know what I mean? He just kind of. I like no, but you can see.
Oh my gosh, big chance again for Montreal, and the header goes off the post, wide open from inside the 6-yard box. Sean John had no chance at that ball, and it goes off the post. Montreal here the last 10 minutes has taken control since that NYC goal early on, and NYC is definitely on their heels now. Kai Kamara, completely unmarked from the 6-yard box, knocks it right off the post. And then Montreal's won a corner now. So they are 100% on the front foot.
Can't miss chances like that in a playoff game. Criminal.
And that one's in the back of the net, but it's going to be offside. So the corner comes in, flicked back in front, and NYC played a beautiful little offside trap and had most of the Montreal team offside on the flick on. They all stepped up, and they're clearly about a yard or two offside.
A great reaction from Montreal. That's what you want to see.
Yeah,
taking an early blow. They haven't let their heads go. They're just taking the game by the scruff of the neck by the looks of it.
Talking about the U.S. team, Tommy B says he's surprised Pefok hasn't got a chance. He's been doing really well in Germany. Have you watched any Jordan Pefok or Siabatu, as he's also known?
No, I mean, I read the news articles and people are talking about him. I haven't seen him play myself, so I can't really comment. But he's, it's kind of the same thing. If you're doing well in a tough league like that, you've probably got some attributes that could be useful. It's just about getting the best out of them. I know Bohart gets not everyone's favourite, but that's his job to make that call. And you see it a lot where like there's guys with talent and it's kind of managerial. Like I don't know what attributes he has specifically versus some of the other options, but sometimes it's not whether they're better or worse player. Just it's up to the gaffer, up to the man.
It's the style they want to play, and to your point, he's one of those big, powerful number 9s that can kind of hold the ball up, almost similar to a Josie Altidore. Right. Like he's big, strong, fast. He's just everything you want. He's not going to contribute a ton in the buildup of things, but the dude is scoring goals in the Bundesliga, and he's been a big part of what Union Berlin has done to start their Bundesliga season. I know they were in first. I don't know if they still are, but I mean, if you got a guy that's starting on the team that was in first place after 10 games in the Bundesliga, you at least got to take a look at that. And he's been in the U.S. setup. It's not like you got to integrate him into the team like, say, Brandon Vasquez.
You got to consider him for sure.
Yeah. So I do kind of expect that he'll be on the team that goes to the U.S. I don't know if he'll play, though. That's the question.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like Ferreira's locked in there. I mean, massive game tonight for him and for Dallas, and for Texas as a whole. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's a big. It feels like rivalry week almost, right? Like with the El Tráfico game, and now with one of the Texas Derby games.
What's a game that was, by the way?
Yeah. What did you think of El Tráfico there? Obviously, great game, back and forth, right to the end. Did the win?
I think it'll be harsh to say that Galaxy were the worst team. I think they played really well. They came into the game really well. Obviously, LAFC just has so much talent, so like you could be overawed. And the atmosphere was absolutely electric, and I thought both teams will come off. Well, I mean, obviously LAFC will come off happy, but I don't think Galaxy I'm a bit of a Galaxy fan, obviously because I've been to a couple of their games and whatnot, but I think they put up a good game. Obviously the last minute goal was a killer, but they got back into it, and it was kind of like you saw the quality on both the teams, because they were actually able to bring on Joveljic, and just a moment of quality off the bench, and that's why they're in the playoffs, and that's why they should really have had a better season. I think they will next year. Like it's kind of criminal how he's not playing more when you look at his goal record and like. But they change the game.
Who do you sit, right? Like you either have to change the formation and go with no like Costa and Kevin Cabral and Grandsir and wingers. Like you either have to do that or you have to set Chicharito, and it's like neither of those options really makes me like he just doesn't fit, you know.
I mean, I think you could tie his shoelaces together and he'd be better than Kevin Cabral. Like that guy is an absolute. I don't want to go in too hard.
I don't disagree with you, but don't they play different positions? Like, can Joveljic play left wing?
Yeah, honestly, like you could. I don't know. I'd put pretty much anyone on the roster on the pitch over Kevin Cabral. He gets a lot of stick, and I feel sorry for him. He's just playing above his level. His agent, you know what I mean? I don't know. He needs to make a movie about him. I don't know.
You know the crazy part? Kevin Cabral, I believe, is one of their DPs.
No, he is. That's what I mean. I don't know how his agent needs I don't know. He needs some sort of prize or award or like. I don't know what
best agent in sports, Kevin Cabral's agent.
He's like Leonardo DiCaprio to play him in a movie. Or something. I don't know how he's pulled that off, but yeah, literally, like he. There was a famous like story back in the day about this guy called Ali Dia, and he got I think he got a game at Southampton, and he basically was a con man. He conned his way to getting a trial at Southampton. He played a game in the Premier League by saying that, pretending to be George Weah, who's like a legend of the game's like cousin or something, and recommended. And then he like when he went to see pre-season, he was like had faked an injury, but then he got on the bench and he got on the pitch in a Premier League game, and he was useless. He couldn't play football. And I'm getting them vibes off of Kevin Cabral, bless him. Wow. I mean, mate, he's no, I mean that's a bit harsh, but he's got pace, but he's just not. You can't. You can just look. It's kind of like I was saying back to the Keaton Parks thing. When I saw him in the flesh, I was, you can tell he's a player. You know what I mean? He knows the game. He's got quality. He can operate at a high level. His ceiling's pretty high. Whereas, Kevin Cabral, I mean, he's got some physical attributes, but he just doesn't move like a footballer, and I don't know. But yeah, he hasn't been playing. They actually dropped Kevin Cabral and put Grandsir in, and that's the beauty of that roster they got there. And Grandsir's been huge for them. I mean, he got the goal, but he's end of the season run. He's been brilliant, and maybe a player to look out for next season because he's probably pretty cheap because he's in and out of the team. But when he plays, he's always in with a decisive chance. So yeah, maybe there's a cheap pickup there. I mean, I don't know what his price is, but I still think his sort of starting position's always under threat, so I can't imagine he's too expensive. But
yeah, for sure. And in the game here, Montreal has still been on the front foot for the last few minutes. They just had a nice chance where they opened up the defense a little bit, got the ball out wide to Alistair Johnston, who had a pretty nice position to cross from, completely unopposed, and had a cross that went low and hard straight to the goalkeeper. So Sean John comes up with the save there. A little bit of a half chance in a good space, but just didn't convert anything with it. And Montreal's kind of been on the ball pretty much since the goal. Like they've been the one, pushing the tempo, and NYC has kind of just sat back here.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense, right? You get the goal, you get the 1-0 lead in a big game. You don't want to. You want to kind of preserve that lead and reevaluate the situation. I think it's smart by NYC, and Montreal are on the front foot and probing. Kind of how you expect. I think it makes a ton of sense to me that NYC will try and catch them on the counter-attack with the players they've got. So it's a perfectly set up game. You see it a lot. It looks like, Montreal are controlling the ball, kind of knocking it, but are still, New York are still dangerous. They're kind of like a counter-punch boxer, They're sitting back on the ropes, but bang, like one move opens up and they can get on the counter. They can put it 2-0 and then you're really up against it. So, it's still I think both teams will be happy with the response. New York to not concede, and then Montreal to have been, getting their foot on the ball and not rushing it. They've had some patience, had some chances. So, yeah, this game's perfectly poised at the minute.
Yeah, I mean it's been a fascinating contest so far, and I feel like kind of all of the playoff games have really been good. There hasn't really been a stinker, at least that I've seen. I know Dallas and Minnesota went to penalties. That was a good game. We talked about El Tráfico. Obviously, our guy Jorge isn't going to want to hear this, but the first game between Montreal and Orlando was probably the biggest kind of blowout that we've had, and I think that was, 2-0? So, yeah, I think a lot of these games have been very tight, and that's typically what you get in the playoffs. Teams not, obviously two very good teams going head-to-head, and neither one of them really wants to blink first and make that mistake and get behind. And now, obviously, Montreal has, and they're kind of going forward and trying to make something of this. But be interesting to see where we are. Obviously, 25 minutes in, 1-0 to NYC. And NYC not really with their preferred lineup on the field, right? They don't have Talis Magno. It seems like he's available on the bench. He's on the bench at least, so we'll have to see how things play out here.
Yeah, I don't even know. Did they change formation with Parks coming on, or did he slot in for Chanel?
I haven't even really seen it. I haven't been paying attention.
Looks like Parks is sitting in the midfield, so I don't know whether they reshuffle or not.
Let me see if they have a different thing on. Let me get a current. I guess they're playing 3 at the back now.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I guess they've just slotted Tinderholm and Callens back into the back line, and they've kind of moved Keaton Parks forward, from what I can see.
Yeah.
By the way, the scoreboard clock thing, I'm operating manually because that's apparently the way you have to do this thing. So if it's a few minutes behind, I apologize, but I'm trying to tick the clock up as we're going so that you guys have some idea of where we are in the game without me having to say it every single time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking. I've been struggling to find an under 23 defender for next year. I'm kind of debating building a team around my huge super red I picked up for pretty cheap, and then but the defender spot's really tough. We spoke about Carlos Terran as a player I like, but I mean I've got the Chicago bias. I'm not even sure. Depending on who we bring in, he might be the backup centre back anyway. I'm not even sure because Chihos is not going to lose his spot.
Right.
Yeah, Palacios.
I think that's just other places that Chicago has to fix, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's one of the things they need to worry about.
No, but sometimes you bring in an experienced defender on a, I don't know where they're going to reinforce, but I'm looking at Palacios.
I think the U23 defender thing is definitely a tough one. And kind of the one that I was going with this year was Ranko Veselinovic, who's only U23 until June. So realistically, those prime months where, June, July, and maybe a little bit of August, where MLS is kind of the only thing running. It's tough to find defenders at that point. And maybe it's a situation where it's one of these younger guys that has some talent that's going to have to break out a little bit, like a Noah Allen at Miami, or even Jalen Neal for the LA Galaxy. It's kind of feels like there's no one that at this point you feel super confident in saying. A Tehran at Chicago is a good example. There's no one.
Well, John Tolkien's the guy, but I don't know if he's.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to stay though. I think he's going to.
I think he might be on the move. Yeah, and he's kind of expensive for someone who with a transfer risk at the minute. So I'm just like.
Yeah. I don't think he stays.
Great player though, Tolkien. He's had a great season.
Yeah, he's a quality for sure. He's a quality player.
I expect him to go. But he if he stays, he's the guy. But
Jorge said Gabriel Corbo from Montreal
Oh yeah,
Not a player that I've watched a whole lot of. I don't watch a ton of Montreal anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting to see them in the playoffs, Kone is that dude. If he stays there one more year, he's gonna be a massive player next year.
Yeah, he's a quality player. I mean, he's very well suited to. He has everything to kind of take the next step because he's physicality, because he's quality. He's only 19, 20 years old. I think he's Canadian, so like that's another. It's kind of
Kone is. Well, he's. I think his parents are Ghanaian potentially, but they migrated to Canada. So like he plays for the Canadian national team, which a lot of those young guys like Davies.
Is he going to the World Cup?
I don't know. I have not looked at Team Canada that deeply yet. I don't think he played.
I don't know. I think
made an international debut.
I mean, he's a player. I mean, I think I'd be looking at him if I was the national team coach. No, I don't know. They've got in. Obviously, they have a Sorare, but he hasn't been playing, and I don't know who else is in that midfield. But yeah, I think he is a really high ceiling.
It says Kone was called up to the Canadian national team for the final window of FIFA World Cup qualification in March of this year. So yeah, he's for sure on the radar, and I would be very surprised if he doesn't make the team with how good he's played this year. Jorge says Corba banged 100 against DC. This might come as news to you, Jorge, because Orlando, didn't get any points against DC. But banging 100 against DC is not exactly hard to do. You can ask Philadelphia. I think their entire starting team banged 100 against us in both games they played. So yeah, banging 100 against DC means very little to me.
You see that save by Johnson? That's unbelievable.
I did not. You'll have to describe it because I was looking at Kone. What happened?
Camera just got to do some heading practice. I mean, again, it's another chance. I mean, he hits the target this time, and to be fair, one of just shot Johnson down to his right, has no right to claw it out. It was a decisive save. You know what I mean? I feel like, I don't know if they need to update the matrix, but I feel like if you make a save that good, you should be getting the decisive, because that's
I've kind of been thinking that, like, some saves are just like, I mean, I could make that save. It's not that difficult, and then there's some that like nobody else makes.
They got to get a replay of that. It was unbelievable. It just looked like the back of the net was about to ripple. He's just down to his right. He's had a brilliant season, Johnson. So
he always has a brilliant season. He's just very good generally. I actually don't think he has had a very good season. I think like his ceiling is like what Andre Blake did this year, and I don't think he played particularly well. They had some injury issues, especially to the middle part of the season. They had some injury issues, and he wasn't scoring big numbers. Oh, here's a turnover for NYC. Looked like they had numbers, but they went a little too slow. So now they're just in the attacking third. I think he could have. Him and Andre Blake are like the two goalkeepers that can make these kind of wild saves that they have no business making. And they're like the two goalkeepers that I think really actually add something to their MLS teams. Pretty much every other goalkeeper that I watch is just, I mean, they're in the net, they make the saves they should make. And I think they're about to show the replay here of the header. Oh, that's Kone that had that header.
That was Kone, was it?
Yeah, Kone's wide open, and yeah, you're 100% right. That has to be buried. Montreal's just had three of those chances at this point now where they should have buried these.
That's a nice save though, man. That's a great save.
Yeah, but I mean, Kone shouldn't be putting that ball anywhere near the middle of the goal. That should be in a corner. I mean,
yeah, he's at the target. You just. Yeah, I mean, from playing, I weren't the best header of the ball, so I can't speak. But normally, you're just trying to head it down and hit the target, and kind of there's a bit of luck in it. I think he's done all right. I just think you got to give credit to the keeper there. That's a world class save.
It's a world class save, but he could have put him in a position where he had no chance to make it.
Well, yeah, 6 yards out. I mean, you could just. But I almost looked like, he almost had no chance on that, and he somehow clawed it out. So I think that the camera one where he hit the post, you can't miss the target. That's
yeah. It was kind of the same position, right? Like it was kind of the same distance away.
The keeper make a save like that,
Right. The keeper makes the save on this one, and they hit the post on the other one. It's like you at least should score one of those two. You feel like
they're getting some good quality delivery, and the wing backs are starting to hurt New York. So
how big has Alistair Johnson been for this team? Like even in Nashville, he did the same thing. He's very underrated as far as an actual player, and now Piet's gonna have a go just over the bar. As far as an actual player, like how good is Alistair Johnson? It seems like everywhere he goes, the team overachieves massively.
Yeah, he's not someone who's going to grab the headlines, is he? But I like Laplainen as well down the other side. I think they just play the position well. They got good engine up and down, and I think they're a big part of. I think if you change the system on Montreal, they'd be a way less effective team. Like I think they play this 5 at the back wing backs really well.
Yeah,
and Johnson and Laplainen are kind of perfectly suited for that role, and they got the double pivot in there that kind of protects them. And credit to them.
I mean, the coaching is just top notch by Wilfred Nancy, right? Like you don't feel like the Montreal is really got that much talent on this team, but then like you look and they were one game away from winning the Eastern Conference, and actually they were one game away from winning the Supporters Shield. They were like 2 points behind LAFC for the Supporters Shield. Now, granted, that was because LAFC stumbled massively at the end of the season, and Montreal was incredibly hot. But this team put up a ton of points this year and won a lot of games that they, by all accounts of their talent, probably should not have won. And I think Wilfred Nancy's going to take a lot of credit for that. He's just come up through the Montreal system. Like he's just been with Montreal this whole time. He's never coached anywhere else really. And he's phenomenal. Like I don't know how European teams aren't banging down Montreal's door trying to get this guy.
Yeah, I mean if you just look kind of on paper, he's really, like when you look at their lineup, every player makes sense for the position they're playing in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you don't. He's got the best out of. With Wanyama and Piet in there, then he just allows the star players, the Kone, the Mihailovic. I mean, unlucky that Quito got injured because he's an effective player too. The Camara's come in and done well. But yeah, he's got a real nice balance. Like you said, the wing backs, they just make perfect sense there. You know what I mean? They make perfect sense. They got the three at the back. They work well together, protecting. The one weak issue is their goalkeeper, so he's kind of, I feel like there's a bit of protection there. And then, yeah, they got enough going forward, and he gives creative freedom to the star guys, which is what you want. So, yeah, credit to them. I think they've eked every bit of talent out of this team, and they're still banging these playoffs and banging this game. So, I think there's another couple of twists and turns coming. Next goal is absolutely massive. Obviously, not going to get any awards for saying that, but in a game like this, like I think if Montreal get the next goal, even though it'll be a tied game, I'd actually put them as pretty decent favourites to go on and win it.
So Laver has put in the chat here, how bad was the chance missed by Ismail Kone? And he's asked it as a question, so I'm guessing Sorare has put that as a big chance missed, which obviously it was. Like you get a free header from inside the 6. That's going to be a big chance missed. But we've kind of talked. It was just an incredible save by Sean John, and I think no business making that save.
So it'd be interesting to see if Camara gets the BCM too. I think he probably should as well. There's similar 100%. Chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to bury that. I mean, it's a great save by the goalkeeper, but at the same time, yeah, like you said, he had the opportunity to put it where the keeper physically cannot make a save.
Right.
6 yards out, you can't miss that.
this is the second or third time. Oh, there's a through ball looking for Johnston. Cross in. I think that's going to be a corner that was blocked. So yeah, this is the second or third time now that the official, like all the players have kind of stopped expecting a foul to be called, and the officials just said play on. What a ball that is by Johnson. There's like 5 NYC defenders all right there, and he still gets it all the way across and picks out his man, who's running like in line with everybody else, if not a little behind. And the corner is right in Sean John's arms. So
a great ball by Kone through to him as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great pass, a great through ball. 40 minutes are now on the clock here. I mean, NYC dominated those first 5 minutes, got their goal. Have they had any chances since then? I mean, I feel like this has been smash and grab here almost from NYC, which is very not their style, but it's working so far.
It makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, they got the goal. It's a big game. It's hard. Maybe not in the MLS, but it's hard to get a goal in football. So they've kind of sat back and said, all right, like if you can, play on the counter attack more so than early on, they were trying to dominate possession and get after it high up the pitch. But at this point, I think they're going to, they know that Montreal have to come out of their shape a little bit more, try pushing, which they've been doing. And they're kind of hoping that they can find opportunities in the counter-attack. They haven't been able to do that super effectively so far, but I don't think it's a bad strategy. It's one you see a lot of the time. They don't need the ball. They don't need to score again, so there's a bit of that. I wouldn't read too much.
That's a long time to be playing defense for, though. They're really not threatening very much at all, and Montreal is kind of throwing some numbers at them. And Montreal, by all accounts here, Montreal should be level at this point. I mean, we agree on that, right?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. But I mean, what are you going to do as New York? They're still going in 1-0 up. If they come out pushing and Montreal are playing this well going forward, maybe they score 2 or 3 goals. If you're going to be an adopted West Ham fan, you're going to have to get used to the counter attack as a strategy, because and it's effective.
I should have worn my West Ham jersey. I gotta go change it at halftime.
At all levels of the game, you don't need the ball necessarily to be dangerous, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But at the same time, just because you don't have the ball and you're sitting back doesn't make you dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, they could be dangerous without the ball, but at this point, they are not being dangerous without the ball. They're just sitting back.
Right, yeah. No, I think they haven't been able to.
Like even here, right? Montreal's just had a free kick in the box. Everybody's forward. New York gets the ball and counters, and there's 2 guys countering. Like there's just nothing going forward. Montreal gets a lot of their team back, immediately wins possession, and immediately right back in the final third.
Yeah, but it's 3 minutes to half time, I think. I mean, yeah, you can look at it either way. I don't think it's just by the fact that Montreal just dominating that they're sat back like that, though, in New York. I know it's not really their style, but it makes sense. I don't think it's indicative. I don't think if Montreal go 1-1, I don't think the game looks like this, I guess is what I'm saying. I think it's by design that they're taking on some pressure. Obviously, when you sit back, you're gonna on some pressure, but they're weighing up. Can we take it on and a look on the counter attack and put the game away?
So do you think that this is the plan? Is just to sit here until it gets to 1-1, and then once it goes to 1-1, they'll figure something else out and hope it doesn't get to 1-1? That's kind of what you think the plan is? Because that's a long time to be trying. Not to, they scored in the 5th minute.
Yeah, but I don't think they're sitting back with just like 11 men behind the ball. I think they just haven't had Montreal have closed like they have there. They've stopped the counter well. They haven't got too desperate. They've been patient and they've played well in this position. They haven't got flustered. But I think the plan in an ideal world, the plan is, well, let's not leave ourselves open. Let's make them beat us, and we've got a brilliant goalkeeper back there who's going to keep us in the game. And and in the same time, I don't think they're like not. I still think that in the back of their minds, if I'm sat there, you think, well, we got a chance to make it 2-0, and then that's game over, or as close as, and that's all we need. And yeah, I think that is their strategy. Maybe get to half time. Maybe they get into half time, they have a talk, they say we're taking on too much pressure, we're not doing this, we need to bring Talas Magno on maybe to, if we're going to play this counter-attacking, we need someone who's going to be able to stretch it a bit more. I don't think that, like, getting an early goal, they're kind of trying to figure out on the fly, and I think it's kind of natural and intuitive to sit back. I don't think they've lost, you've got to remember, they've lost Chanot, they've lost their centre-back.
True.
They don't want to expose themselves defensively. And yeah, I wouldn't be. I don't think they've had a bad half. I think they've scored the goal and they've been pragmatic with it, which isn't their style. But I don't think
they care if they're up.
Yeah, it's playoff. It's playoffs. You're 1-0 up and
get in and I think realistically, you look at this from New York's perspective. Maybe not the favorite coming in here. They haven't really been playing all that well. A lot of people don't expect them to do very well. And you've got Sean Johnson, who's one of the best goalkeepers in the league. And realistically, in the regular season, a draw for New York City is kind of a loss. But here, it's very much a win, right? If you get a draw and you get the penalties, you like your chances with Sean John against Pantemis. So I guess you can kind of play 1-0 up as if you're almost 2 goals up, right? And you're just kind of, you can't concede twice. Like if you draw 1-1, that's fine, but the you don't want to get ripped open for 2-1 is I guess the issue here. And you're right, if they score 2, it kind of feels like it's over.
Yeah, I mean it's not over, but it's a good tactical strategy, I think, from their point of view. They just got to shore it up at the back, and if they concede, I think they'll. Like, they didn't come out in this game with this mindset, but you have to adjust in the fly. You get an early goal, getting in at 1-0, reevaluating is huge, So you say, all right, like, yeah, we're going to take on a little bit of extra pressure, but Johnson's one of their best players. They've lost their centre-back. They don't want to be pushing up and exposing, the reshuffled defence. I think, I think it's been a good game, and I think Montreal have done really well. They've been patient. They haven't looked flustered. They're not rushing. They've done what they need to do, gradually grind and put pressure on, and they just haven't had the breakthrough yet. Thanks to Johnson.
They've created all the chances. They just haven't scored. Now NYC's getting forward. This looks like a dangerous attack. That was too early on that pass from Maxi. Oh, just kidding. That is in the back of the net for NYC just before the half. A disaster for Montreal. And the question's going to be, is he onside? But as of now, it's a second for NYCFC just before the half. Their first real counterattack of the game. And here we go. It's 2-0.
That's too good to be true on my end. It looks scripted, that one. I'm going to have to...
Yeah, we told them what was happening. Yeah, that's literally that whole thing. Like, Montreal has everyone forward. NYC gets a turnover, then finally commits numbers forward. They got 4 guys running, and then just a killer through ball, and he is 100% onside. And I don't know what Waterman's doing. He's just let him go. That's bold defending there. Doesn't appear to have paid off. Hebert is the one who scored. I think that's
it's a brilliant pass. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh, the throw ball is absolutely killer. I believe Santi Rodriguez had the assist on that.
But that's the game plan right there that we talked about. That was not off the cards. They have the quality, they have the thing, and lapse in concentration by Montreal. They'll be disappointed there. You've got to again. It's little moments that you see, and you don't see it in. I guess this is where, if you're used to watching top level football, you got to take the yellow card and bring like Maxi down on the break there. He just sort of gets through that challenge. You just got to bring him down. You just got to take the yellow. If you watch a team like even Man City, are brilliant at it. Because they are pressing high, they're keeping the ball, but they recognise, all right, this is dangerous now. and they make smart fouls. They're like they were caught out and they let it go and got punished. And that's exactly what we were talking about.
I mean, they're right. They've been caught out, and the counterattack was really good initially, and then Maxi plays the ball wide to Santi Rodriguez, and in my mind, I kind of think like, oh, this is now gone. The chance is gone here because like Montreal's back, they're in decent defensive position. It's still not a great position. They're closing in on the box, and it's more or less even. But it's not like they were 3-on-2 running, the other way like they were earlier in this counterattack. And the ball is out wide now, so there's only one place you can come in from. But it looks like they fell asleep at the back. Like they're in the right position to make the play, and they just don't make it. And all credit to Santi Rodriguez again. Phenomenal through ball, and the NYC fans are just kind of going nuts. Obviously now it is halftime, so they're now talking to the coaches and everything. But kind of a crazy first half there. Montreal are incredibly unlucky to be 2-0 down, I would say.
Yeah, they're unlucky, but they're unlucky.
That's how this game goes.
Mistakes have been punished by quality players, and that's what. You're playing against the best teams now. Like you've got the Santi Rodriguez's, the Pereiras, the Maxis, and there's a quality finish by Herbert as well. One chance, bang, goal. So you can't make them sort of mistakes. The first goal didn't need to happen. I don't think the goalkeeper was rash, and yeah, like on the surface, like that's kind of what we're talking about. On the surface, you say, well, Montreal have dominated this, that, or the other. But if you, not if you understand football, that's a bit. But like if you've been in that position, I'd say if you see really what's going on. If I'm basically even before the second goal is kind of what I was saying. If I'm a NYC player, I don't really care that they've had the ball. I'm not getting flustered about it, like because I know that we can do what they just did on the stroke of half time there, and bang, and then that's like a devastating blow. And they know they've got the players in the team, so sometimes you have to ride your luck. You can't go.
But that's it. That's exactly what it is, right? It's luck. Like NYC is incredibly lucky to be up. Honestly, this game should have been 1-1 with the 3 or 4 chances that Montreal created, and one of them they've just got to put away, and that's not anything NYC did, which is why I'm not really giving a ton of credit to NYC, right? It's just Montreal has not finished their chances. And this game should be 1-1. They should be back to playing normal defense, and the second goal should never happen. They've been the better team, right? Montreal has been the better team for, I'd say, 40 of the 45 minutes in this half. Like they were not the better team for the first 5 minutes, and they weren't the better team in the stoppage time of the first half. That's it though. That's what this game is. Like if you can dominate, but if you don't take your chances and you don't finish. And you give the other team 1 or 2 good chances and they finish. That's what happens. It's 2-0. Welcome to the playoffs.
Yeah. I'd push back on that though, because like kind of I'm saying they've been good. I actually don't have anything bad to say about Montreal, but they've made mistakes and they've been punished. And when New York have made mistakes by not picking up the guy in the 6-yard box or the late runner, they haven't been punished. And you could call that luck, but I don't think that the game looks like. I don't think that Montreal are the quote unquote better team if New York don't go 1-0 up. That's what I'm saying. I think that New York made a choice to give up some possession and therefore kind of on paper be the team on the back foot, with the sort of they're hedging the fact that they obviously don't want to give them chances up, and that's where you give credit to Montreal because it's some brilliant delivery.
And I think that's where the difference is, right? If they sit back and they absorb all this pressure and they let Montreal into the final third, but then Montreal never ever creates a real chance, then you go, okay, yeah, New York is picked this out perfectly. They're playing good defense. They're just sitting back. They're not going to get torn apart. But there's been 3 chances where they've been torn apart and they've been completely at Montreal's mercy. Like you can't give NYC credit for that.
I don't give them credit, but I think that they accepted, I guess I say they accepted that risk for, like it's kind of a game of chess, right? They accepted the risk that they're going to give up a couple chances knowing that if they get the chance themselves on the counter attack, like they did at the end there, that it could be game over. And knowing the fact that in order for Montreal to score, they're going to have to put some quality together and put it in the back of the net and beat Sean Johnson. And I think, they're understanding, like any team, when you sit back and you're going to give up chances per se.
Right, but there's a difference between a half chance where you're getting a shot on target, let's say, and Sean John has a great chance to save it, and a big chance where Sean John has. There's nothing he can do if Kone puts that ball in the corner. There's nothing he can do if Kai Kamara puts that ball a half inch inside the post instead of on the post. Sean John's horribly beaten on those because they're in such a good position, right? It's a full big chance that Montreal has just flat out missed. There's nothing like it's not like NYC's giving out shots from outside the box where you feel like Sean John is going to make those saves 9 times out of 10. Like, that would be exactly what I would expect them to do if they're sitting back and not conceding chances. But they haven't really done that. They've given up chances from inside the 6, which there's nothing that Sean John can do if Montreal, get into that spot and finish.
You've got to remember, they've lost their centre-back midway, like 15 minutes into the game. Mm-hmm. I'd say the chances that Montreal created, I'd like to lean. I didn't see, you should track your runners. You'd ideally want to get a challenge on the ball, but I'd give credit to Montreal. They were great quality crosses, good movement. The Kone one was a deep run, and just that happens in football. Sometimes you lose your man. It's not like a big mistake. Whereas I feel like the big mistake.
You can't lose your man in the 6th, though. That is a big mistake. Like, that's the whole point of sitting back, is that you can defend the 6 and never really give up that chance. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I think if they were to do it again, all right. So if they were to run, they go 1-0 up as New York. What would your strategy be? Like, what would you do different in their shoes in that half?
So I think if I'm New York City and I'm built to have possession, that's how I'm playing defense. I'm gonna have the ball, and even if we're not creating a ton of chances, we're already 1-0 up. Who cares? Right? I want the ball, though. Like, I'm going to pass it around and make Montreal defend me. I'm not going to, push numbers forward, but I'm going to try to get my foot on the ball and pass it around and have the ball, because that's what they're built to do. They're not built to sit 11 behind the ball and play defense. That's why they're giving up these huge chances. I think you got to play your game, right? Just because you go 1-0 up in the 5th minute doesn't mean you all of a sudden are a team that sits 11 guys behind the ball for 85 minutes. Now, it seems like it's going to work out probably here because they're obviously 2-0 up now. Could Montreal score twice? Maybe. Could they score 3 times? Probably not. So they're probably going to have to beat Sean John in a penalty shootout at best at this point to get through, which if I'm New York City, I like my chances there. But, play your game, right? It doesn't... If you're not good at something, don't try to do it, right? And that's exactly what NYC has done. And yes, they've gotten away with it because Montreal has not punished them for the chances. But by all accounts, this should have been level in the 20th minute at the latest. The fact that it was going 1-0 at halftime, and then Montreal's just fallen asleep, and that's on Montreal. So I think I'm willing to put a lot more of the blame for this game on Montreal. First of all, going 1-0 down at the very beginning, they came out very flat. They were terrible for the first 5 minutes, give up the goal, and then they woke up. And then they've just fallen asleep here with a few minutes to go before halftime. So for me, this is a lot more about Montreal losing this game than it is for NYC winning. But if I'm NYC, I'm playing a different style of game, right? I'm playing my game. I don't care what the opponents are doing.
Yeah, it's not necessarily... Yeah, I get it. I guess...
And if I'm built to play 11 guys behind the ball and I go 1-0 up, great. I'll throw all 11 guys behind the ball and we'll play that way the whole game. But that's not the way NYC is built. They're built to have 60% possession, and they've had nothing. I guess we can look up the stats here, but they've had no possession.
Yeah,
they've had 37% possession in this game.
I think if you gave them a realistic chart, if you gave them a realistic choice, all right, do you want to knock the ball and you just go 1-0 up? Do you want 60% of the ball? against a good team at home in the playoffs, they say, yeah, I'll bite your hand off. I just don't know if that was a realistic choice. They lose a key defender. I think
that's
they were
what they're
trying
built to do. If they can't do that, then they can't do that. But that's what their whole game is, and their passing accuracy is 66% for NYC. They have 2 total shots in this game. Both of them have gone in the back of the net. Like they aren't really. They've got 3 yellow cards. Like they're not winning any of these statistical categories. And I get part of that is because they went 1-0 up. But like just because you go 1-0 up doesn't mean you completely change your game plan and play a game that you're not comfortable with. Like I think that's my criticism of NYC. And to be like, they haven't been punished. They're 2-0 up. Like I'm not saying this is a bad half for NYC, but it's only not a bad half because Montreal didn't finish. If Montreal would have finished their 2-3 chances, and this is 3-1 at halftime, then you're going, well, what is NYC doing? Yeah, they've scored their goal early, but then they've just completely given up.
I think it's one of my peeves in football, though, is that I think, maybe not everyone, I think that Montreal are favourites in this game, especially with the missing players. Then you go 1-0 ups as the underdogs, even if you're a better team than the average team in the league. I think it shows some experience and some bravery to be able to say, all right, like we're not going to be able to outpossess them. We're not going to be able to like play out from the back. We don't have all of our best talent on the field right now. And to have the humility to say, all right, we're 1-0 up, and we're going to probably have to, if you're a worse team, if you're an underdog in a game, you're going to have to ride your luck a bit anyway. And if, and just their best chance, I think, was to sit back and try and counter-attack at that point. And obviously it worked out, so it's easier to say now, but I think that they show good humility. Like I don't think they're good enough with the players they've got on the pitch to just dominate this game. This Montreal team's a proper team. I think they realised that, like, all right, we're 1-0 up maybe away from home against a better team. Yeah, there's a good chance they get back in a game because they're a good side. But, if we can ride our luck a bit and find opportunity on the counter-attack, we can put this game away and we have no real business to, Whereas if they go toe-to-toe, I think Montreal are a better team. And I think they would have got back in the game quicker, had a better chance. They might not have.
They wouldn't have because they missed their 3 big like, what is Montreal realistically going to create? More than 8 shots, 3 on target, 62% possession. What are they going to create more than that if you play your game? Like, you're not going to give up more than 8 shots. You're not going to give up more than 3 big chances. Like, if they're missing, they're missing. They're going to miss whether you're playing good defense or not. Like, they didn't really play good defense, Well,
no, I think but it's just about, like, you can't expect, like, you got Brentford or whatever, like they play, or Leeds years gone by. They play their game, yeah, it's great. They play possession and they try and play high up. But you see them come up against a Man City or a Liverpool, and to play like that, it's just suicidal. It's just stupid. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter the players or how you usually play. And I think that the best teams and managers can adjust to situationally, both within the game and to their opponents. And I think somewhere in the management,
you adjust some, but you don't throw away your whole identity. I
don't think they have. I think they probably would have liked to have more possession. Yeah, they would have liked to have thing, but they gave up a bit of that to sit in and shore up a bit defensively. And yeah, they gave a couple of chances away that they wouldn't like to. So you can criticise them on that a bit, but that comes with the territory when you're sitting back. And maybe if they were pushing on, I think they could have let in more chances. So
see, I think that's where we disagree, right? Like I don't see this as, yeah, they gave up 3 big chances, and if they pushed on, they would have given up more than 3 big chances. I think if you push on and you have the ball, the other team can't score when you have the ball. Now, granted, they can turn you over and score very quickly when you have the ball, so it's not without risk. But if you have 60% possession, that's 60% of the time the other team can't score against you, and 60% of the time they can't make chances against you, or at least quality chances. So Yeah,
I don't think that's fortune. I don't think that was ever on the table. 60% possession in this game. I think Montreal are a better side. They're at home.
Sure, but 50% possession, 45% possession. Like they've had 37% possession in this game. You know, like
2-0 up. I don't care.
They were 1-0 up for most of the half.
Yeah, but they were giving up the possession for that counter-attacking opportunity, because when you give up possession and sit back, Montreal comes forward more, their lines come forward, and it leaves up some space in behind. They're light at the back when you do counter. So it is really like a counter-a-punch kind of strategy. And
I mean, love that. If they were doing that, like if they were sitting back and not giving up chances and then look dangerous on the counter, great. Then that's awesome. Play that game. If you can play that game, play that game. But they couldn't. They didn't. They gave up lots of big chances, and they only had one counterattack the whole time. And realistically, Montreal should have stopped that counterattack. They just completely fell asleep at the back. Like,
so
that doesn't make any sense. They didn't play the way that you're wanting them to have played. Like, it's great if you can play 37% possession, sit back, and give up 4 or 5 half chances that you know you're really got a good chance of saving. But that's not what they did. They just were at Montreal's mercy, and Montreal just has not scored at all. Like, Montreal should easily have scored at least 1, if not 2 goals in that first half.
Yeah, they should have. They should have. But that doesn't mean that. I don't think that means that New York made mistakes strategically. I think they done all right. I'd be interested to hear what some of the guys think. See what Quinny thinks. See what some of these fans, because yeah, I mean it's easier, I guess, as a neutral. I'm just looking at it like I see what's happening here, right? I see what's happening here. New York go up early. They're sitting back. They're countering. And yeah, they rode their luck. Montreal didn't. I don't think either manager. I think obviously New York will be buzzing going in at half time. They've made some changes. Looks like Maxi's been hooked. Makes a lot of sense, right? They're going to shore it up now and do even more of the same.
And that's great if they shore it up, right? That's great if they don't concede chances. If they give up 2 or 3 half chances in the second half, perfect. That's exactly what you want. But they didn't do that in the first half. They were giving up chance after chance and just weren't punished for it. Yeah, let us know in the comments what you guys think. If you have either side of this discussion that you want, as we're now back here for the second half. We're a couple of minutes in here. Montreal, again, coming out on the front foot. New York City sitting back quite a bit more. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see the rest of this game.
But you can see look at New York right here. They're in two blocks.
Yeah, right now this is great because Montreal's not really getting into the box. They're not really creating a chance.
Yeah, but you know that's what they're trying to do. They're not interested in possession at this point of the tie, you know?
Right, and if they can keep everything to basically outside the box and never give Montreal a clean look inside the box, then they're going to be in really good shape.
Yeah.
It's just nearly got through. Good through ball, but just couldn't quite get it.
Montreal's job now to get the ball in the back of the net. That's it. That's a great knock. Unlucky. Yeah, it should still be an exciting second half here because you see how it's going to look, right? New York are in there saying, "All right, beat us, beat us, beat Johnson," and it's up to Montreal to try and do that.
So that's interesting. Off the goal kick, they've played out of the back. If you're kind of sitting in behind, that's what you kind of don't want to do, right?
Well, no, because you don't want
to. That's how you get a turnover and get counterattacked, basically counterpunch, is playing out of the back, and you make one bad turnover, and nobody's in position because nobody's back yet.
Well, I don't think they're like parking the bus per se. I just think they're being a bit more pragmatic than they might in a regular season game. At this point, it makes sense to me. They got some great. I mean, this Pantemis looks shaky, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's obviously not helped them at all since there's been 2 shots and both have bended up in the back of the net. Not really anything he could do about either one, to be fair. But
I mean, the first one,
I could have played goalkeeper and they'd be 2-0 down. You know.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the first one, I don't know if he got an error lead into a goal, but he kind of was very rash rushing out on that one.
Yeah, that's true. He was off his line when he shouldn't have been. But the actual shot itself was from inside the 6.
You had
You're right. You're right.
Any success this week in the old? I'm still hanging on. Look at the Super Rare All Star leaderboard. I'm still somehow hanging on with that team. I mean, it's what I was telling you. You said you picked up a Guzan. I said, I think there's some value occasionally in the old, these America kind of niche, cheap D2 stacks. I think that team didn't cost me too much.
Again, that ball goes flashing across the 6. No one from Montreal gets a finger on it, or a foot on it. But there's only 2 guys in the box for NYC, and there's like 4 for Montreal. Like, if you're going to sit back, this is the way you sit back with 2 blocks of 4, and they're kind of moving around and making things difficult, making it difficult to create chances. It's you don't want to see crosses coming in with only 2 of your guys in the box, though.
Yeah.
So who's on your team for Super
I told you, remember, like I think we had that talk a while back, and I was saying I think I'm going to try and get like a D2 stack, and I got all them Argentinos players.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm first in Super Rare All Star.
That's a minute.
Yeah, and I think the whole team cost me about 2 ETH, which is pretty. If I win it,
wild. You're gonna win a prize that's more than 2 ETH.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I got any chance of holding on for first, but that would be insane. I think it's a tier 0 super. But I think if I get top 5, it's like a tier 1 super rare or something. That'll be nice. That's my biggest first ever time over 500 points, so I'm pretty happy with it.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Why don't you think you can hold first? Is that not normal for? I mean, 500 seems like a lot.
Yeah, but it's super rare, remember, and people have uniques. So I think that like let me look at the leaderboard. There's guys in there behind me with some proper players,
Yeah.
Like some of these teams are just like this guy, the guy who can catch me. He's got a Lionel Messi super rare, a Goretzka, a Delict super rare, a Flecken super rare, and a Munayin unique.
Who are those guys? I've never heard of any of them.
Yeah, so like every one of them cards is worth more than my whole team, like by like a few fold. But it's good to be up there and in the mix. I mean, I've beat out, You'll Never Walk Alone. He's in there with a Musiala unique, Allison, Goretzka, Mane, and Delict, all super rare. And I've bested them with my little Argentinos juniors boys. So fair play.
Take that and like it.
Exactly. But no, that's what I was saying to you. Like, if you got that Guzan super rare, maybe you can. Yeah. Maybe you can delve into that, because it only takes 1 week like that, and you bit of a game changer.
Yeah, I mean that's like if I win a tier 0 or tier 1 super rare, I mean you're talking about probably half my gallery value, maybe a little more. So
yeah,
that's a whole different thing. NYC with a free kick here, and it is over the bar. On comes Romel Kyoto. Obviously, Montreal needing a goal. They're going to take off number 6, Samuel Piet. So this will be a formation change. They're going to go with another attacker instead of a midfielder. And Kyoto's coming on here for, 35 minutes? Somewhere in there. Big return for Montreal here. He's one of their better players. So hasn't played since September.
Yeah, I need a goal. I need a goal soon.
Need 2 goals.
Yeah, but the first one's huge because
then
pressure's really on.
Yeah, completely shifts the game. Most dangerous lead in sports is a 2-0 lead, right?
Yeah, especially in basketball.
Especially in basketball. Shout out to Sorare NBA. Right, Jorge? 2-0, you're pretty much over at that point. And Kamara gets a shot on target. See, that's what I'm talking about with defending. Like, everybody's in a good spot. Yes, Kamara gets a shot on target, but that has very little chance of actually going in because everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, and Sean John cleans it up in the back end. It's decent defense there by NYC.
Do you have any thoughts on the game tonight? It's a huge derby game.
By the game tonight, I assume you're referring to the Pittsburgh Riverhounds USL Playoff Championship. We are in the first round in Birmingham, so I'll be going to the watch party for that. Obviously we're hosting. Huh?
That's exactly what I meant. Yeah.
I figured that was going to be what you were talking about. Yeah, massive game for us. If we win, we're going to the top seed Louisville in the next round, so that'll be a lot of fun. No, the game tonight, yeah, I think it'll be a really interesting one. Obviously, it's a derby game. You love to see those in the playoffs. I'm personally kind of rooting for Dallas because I want to see the Eastern Conference team host it. And if we can get Dallas to get to the final, then the Eastern Conference team for sure hosts the MLS Cup final. But yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a good one. I do actually think Dallas will win, which is obviously an upset. Obviously, Austin is the higher seed. I think Dallas is solid defensively, and they've got enough going forward. And I think it'll be a cagey kind of 1-0, 2-0 type result. And yeah, I think Dallas has got a really good chance at winning that game.
What do you think about Dallas next year?
There's a chance.
They got a lot of young players.
Gets a chance on a counterattack, hits it right at Pentemis, who makes the save out for an NYC throw. Dallas next year, yeah, I think they'll be good. From what I hear, their academy is not as good as it used to be. So they're not bringing through like super, super talented players, but they're still bringing through a lot of talent. And obviously they've got some money from the Pepe deal and everything like that. So I think it'd be interesting to see how they use it. I love their front three. Ariel is a super underrated player. Also, Talis Magno is going to come into this game now in the 57th, 58th minute. And Hebert is going to go off. So that's obviously a move to be a little bit more dangerous on the counterattack. And NYC has been more dangerous on the counter in these first few minutes here of the second half. Going back to Dallas, yeah, I think they'll be very good next year. I love their front three. Ariel is a very underrated player. I'm very interested to see Velasco take the next step forward. He's been very good here the second kind of half of the season outside of the injury. I think he's one of the most talented players in the league. There's not really a question about that. The question is he going to put it all together next year? And I think it'll be interesting to see. I think really the key for Dallas is the midfield, right? Right now it's like Palmacall, Cervania. There's some decent players in there, but if they can get a really good like DP quality guy to kind of pull the strings in the midfield, this could be a really good team going forward. Because defensively they're sound, and going forward you love the front three. There's not that link between them. There's something missing in the midfield. So like an Elie type of player.
Do they have a DP spot?
That's a good question.
Assuming Ferreira, is Areola's
Ferreira's going to be a DP now.
They got Ferreira.
I think Areola was a DP in DC, so I assume he's a DP in Dallas.
I thought they had that Yara as a DP, which is obviously a terrible. I think they'll get rid of him, right?
Yeah. Dallas. Let's see Dallas. Let's see. So they've got Ferreira is a young DP. Yara is a DP and an international player. And Velasco is a young DP. So Arriola is not listed as a DP. So, yeah, if they get rid of Yara, I mean, sky's the limit.
They got some...
And that's going to be a penalty for NYC. Pantemis has come off his line on a counter, just taking out the man. Easy call here, 59th minute. This is going to put it away here, I think, right? As long as they score. I don't know how he's not gotten a card for that.
I mean, it shows the difference in goalkeepers, right? Like the impact that Johnson's had on this game and Pantemis.
There's no need to go there. Like, he's taking a touch around you, like almost at the edge of the 18-yard box, going towards the end line, and you've got two guys covering the line. There's no need to go after him there.
Yeah, it's just rash. It's just bad decision.
Pantemis has had a shocker in this game.
Bad decision making. And yeah, that's it. It looks, I mean, as long as they stick this home, could be game over. Or Pantemis saves this and bangs out a 60.
With a horrible game. He scores a 60.
I mean, like you said, like, it's football, man. Sometimes a better team.
Talis Magno is going to take it. So score off the bench if he puts it away.
Yeah, that'll be...
Oh, man. So he has scored. It is 3-0 to NYCFC after 61 minutes. Pantemis doesn't dive either way. Just kind of sits there as the ball rolls slowly into the back of the net. Terrible penalty save attempt. It's been a rough day for the lad. But, yeah, I don't know that he'll be back next year. So this is going to set up a clash here that I guess we can start talking about here for the last few minutes. Philadelphia and NYCFC playing in Philly, rematch of last year's Eastern Conference Final. This year, hopefully, Philly will not have 100 guys out with COVID. They're going to be very dead set on revenge in this game. What do you think about Philly and NYC going at it?
Yeah, I feel like the feeling coming into the game will be similar. Like, I mean, I don't know if Magno's back fit, it does change things. Chanot's going to be out. I think, yeah, it's just hard to see Philly losing the way they've been this season. But you can see that I think Philly will be the better side and be the favourites. But it's the playoffs, and New York. You can see what they've done today. Like you said, they haven't had their best ever game. They haven't dominated. They haven't played them off the park, but they're 3-0 up.
But I will say this second half has been a lot better from New York. Like, this second half, they look in control of this game. It's
kind of like I was saying, like, that's what you try and... Like, obviously, played a lot of games like this before where, you're 1-0 up kind of early and then you don't really know what to do when you're on the field because you obviously can't take a timeout in soccer, so you go 1-0 up, like obviously you're happy with that, but you don't know the game plan. Your centre back gets injured, you're kind of reshuffling on the go. It's kind of a natural thing to sit back in and try and just conserve what you've got, maybe get to half time. I think even if they get to half time 1-1, worst case, they're just like, all right, well then we can reevaluate because
before the game, you'd take 1-1 at halftime, right?
So exactly my point. And I think they went in at halftime. The coaches, they've got them in there. Coach has made now some changes, and he's realised they're going to carry on playing the strategy they were on the counter. But he realised that Maxi Morales is pretty useless on the counter attack.
Exactly.
He's good when you're keeping possession, but
right.
So he's been hooked. They're bringing some more legs with, I think it was Justin Hack, and.
Yep.
Now they've made the change again in the 55th minute, bringing on Talis Magno, which suits that system better too.
And you even save Maxi for the Eastern Conference Final, right? Like he's only got to play 45 minutes today, and obviously he's an older guy, so you try to save him as much as you can. And I think this has been much better in the second half. They've looked a lot more in control of this game. They've looked very dangerous on the counterattack. They haven't given Montreal a real sniff of the goal yet. Here in the first 60, or about 20 minutes in to the second half. And obviously they've got the second goal. And that was a big chance. big chance there for looks like Alistair Johnston got in from the backside and had a header, headed it straight down, and it just kind of went off a New York City player. Another big chance that is 1,000% got to be buried in the back of the net. And this is kind of the problem with Montreal here, you know?
You know what's interesting, though, I'm thinking, looking forward to the Philly game. Philly don't play with a ton of width. They got that kind of diamond in the midfield. And Montreal has absolutely decimated New York here out wide. They've got so many good quality crosses in and really hurt them. And they haven't defended them well. And, like, I don't know what I don't expect Philly to change their system. But I think if I was a manager looking at this, maybe if New York make it and you're looking at a team like LA, for example, where they do have good quality down the wings, it seems like a bit of a weakness today for New York, even though they're 3-0 up, obviously, but they've let in so many good quality deliveries and chances from crosses. And they could be something to look forward to going forward. They've got to make sure they tighten that up if they're going to go on, because like you said, that's the big criticism I would have, is down out wide they've let too many good quality crosses come in, and lucky that they haven't been punished, really. I think for other teams,
and I think going to Philly too is strength on strength, right? Like, both those teams love to kind of dominate the middle of the park, to your point. And I think it'll be interesting to see kind of who wins that battle. Is going to show you who ends up kind of winning that game.
Yeah, I think Kai Wagner could be a big player in that game if he can get forward and get with his quality as well, delivery. I'd be concerned obviously you're in cloud nine at the minute if you're an NYC fan, but it is a bit concerning how many good deliveries have been allowed to be put in their box there.
Yeah, this is not a normal 3-0 NYC win, right? Like, this is there have been some issues in this game for New York, and Montreal just hasn't. And I'm not saying that New York isn't deserving of being 3-0 up, because especially in the second half they've been far and away better. But like to your point, you're just kind of a little concerned if you're NYC going into a game against Philly where you will be on the back foot. You kind of feel like Philly is going to dominate most of the possession in that game. We'll see how it ends up, but I think Philly's a pretty strong favorite for me. What about you?
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely, like Montreal favourites, and it's even the way the game's gone. Like, you can see why maybe you think that, and I kind of think the same with Philly. But that's the beauty of football. There is so much. You can call it luck, but it's just part of the game. You know, these moments, and like, is it luck that they've had two chances and stuck them in the back of the net, or is that just good quality finishing? Like, good. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
100% luck, but that also happens. You know, like, it's basically just statistical, like, law of averages, right? If
I don't know, though, because these
given
guys
enough games, there's going to be some games where there's, 2 chances, 2 goals.
Yeah, but all right. So if you put, but I don't think that. I think if you put Kai Kamara on the end of that Hebert chance, does he bury it as often? I don't know. I don't think he does.
Some days he might, but on some days Hebert might not. That's the whole point.
That's not true. I think that's a misconception with the stats thing, because Lewandowski is going to he's going to score twice as many of the exact same chance as any of these guys. You know what I mean?
Sure.
3 times.
No, I'm not saying that all strikers are equal.
It's not luck.
I'm just saying that sometimes Lewandowski's going to miss and sometimes Hebert is going to make it. That doesn't make Hebert better than Lewandowski. That's exactly my point, actually.
No, yeah. But I wouldn't say like New York are lucky to finish their chances. There's a brilliant finish and a brilliant pass, brilliant ball, brilliant finish from Hebert, and Montreal had the same or better chances, and they should finish it. It's not unlucky. I mean, it is a bit unlucky.
When I say luck, I'm not saying like you didn't deserve to finish that and you got lucky. I'm saying statistically, if you take that shot 10 times, you finish it once, and this happened to be the one that you finished. It's like, you will finish 1 out of every 10. That statistically is unlucky for the defense to give it up and for the offense to score it. if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like, if you get into a position where 9 times out of 10 you can't beat the goalkeeper and you end up beating the goalkeeper, it's not that you were just better than the goalkeeper on that one try. It's just statistical kind of randomness almost. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree and disagree. I think like sometimes the big moment, people play better in big games. People play big chances.
But that just changes the overall probability. That doesn't change. Like the people who play better in big games might hit 2 out of those 10 instead of 1 out of those 10.
That's huge.
You know
that's
what
huge.
I mean? 100% it's huge, but that doesn't mean that you're always going to hit it. Is my point.
Right.
Stats is a difficult thing to kind of get, especially in a game like football, where it's very much there is only one chance per, that you only get one chance in each position. Basically, it's not repeatable unless you watch like a ton of games.
I mean,
it's kind of a difficult concept to get on a small like individual basis.
I wouldn't say that. I guess I just can't. I wouldn't feel right saying New York have been lucky this game, because I think they've done the best they could at any given point of the game. Decision-wise, they made a couple mistakes here and there, but they've kind of rolled with the game really nicely. And sometimes, it's a bit like poker. Actually, in poker, you sit down and play a tournament, and your only goal is not to win, or not. You're just trying to make the best of the situation in front of you. The best decision you can at the time with what you got available. And I feel like New York kind of done that. And then obviously if you're gonna, some days the luck goes your way and everything goes well. Some days it doesn't. But from their input, I think they've done the best they can today, and they've been rewarded. Yeah, things have gone their way.
So I guess like the lucky part of it, I guess, is like, say Montreal have had 10 chances to make a positive thing and they've made none of them, and NYC have had 3 chances to make a positive impact and they've made all 3. Yeah, you would expect that to be like more 50-50 for each team, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
So you would say Montreal's been better because they've had 10 chances as opposed to 3 chances, but they're just not ahead on the scoreboard because NYC has taken their chances.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I know what you're saying, but I just, it's hard to quantify. Obviously, it's intangible. A lot of like the sentiment. And that's the beauty of the game. That's why we can have discussions for an hour about it and thing. But I think New York will be happy with themselves. I think Montreal would think. I don't think Montreal will come away from this game thinking they got unlucky. Let's put it that way. I think they would, in the cold light of day, they say we should have put our chances away. We should have done more. We should have put more pressure, and we shouldn't have been sleeping at the back just because we had the ball. We should have organised better. We should have communicated better. I don't think it will serve Montreal to look at it like that and say, "Oh, we just were unlucky on the day." I think there's things that they can take from this game and help improve.
Very difficult to improve when you don't have a next game. There's another chance for Montreal that they really should be putting away. And it goes wide. I think they're going to call it a goal kick here.
New York just can't defend the channels out wide. They just...
they can't. They're getting slaughtered out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's okay because Montreal cannot score inside the box. So it's all good.
Yeah, but I mean, going forward though, like...
Right, against a better team or against a different team or even against Montreal on a different day. Like, there's some of these chances that are just... They're going to go to the back of the net. And that's kind of what I mean by statistical... It's sort of statistical law of large numbers, but
they can improve. They got to improve. They can't let this many good quality crosses come into the box, so they're going to be in trouble. But
did you watch the first NYC playoff game? I did not. He's got to be offside by a month.
Who did they play? I probably did, but
Miami.
My brain's.
They played Miami, and they won 3-0 in that game too, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, on the surface of it, you're looking at like you can paint this picture where this is NYCFC. They are the defending MLS champions. They have one of the most expensive rosters in the league, and they've won their first 2 playoff games 3-0, and they're going into the Eastern Conference Final. And if I paint that picture for you, you go, well, they probably got a pretty good chance in the Eastern Conference Final. And we're sitting here saying, yeah, they've got a lot to improve if they're going to be decent against Philly. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, it is, but it's kind of like what you're saying. Like the whole point of what you're saying is this scoreline doesn't tell the tale of the game fully.
Right.
And that's what you're saying, and that's kind of and it never does in football, and nor should it. And that's the beauty of the game. And yeah, it doesn't. And I think against Miami, like 3-0 was flattering, but I think they done enough to get through that game too. And I think they done enough to get through this game. I think, and they're going to be there and they're going to be dangerous. And like that's why like on paper, if you look at Philadelphia's season, at home you'd think if it was
only conceded 8 goals at home this year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If it was all statistical, you say that's kind of it's cut and dried. Then Philly just win that, but that's the beauty of this.
This is 1-game knockouts. Anything can happen.
Yeah, and New York are a team where even when it ain't all going their way, or they can punish and that is a lot of their sort of edge or their power is just they seem to put the ball in the back of the net, which is a good problem to have,
They didn't have that problem for the last 2 months, but I guess that's okay. I guess it's a good time to be finding that problem again. If you're only gonna score a few times, like if you're only gonna score in a few games, make them playoff games. Yeah. Another half chance there. That was good defending from New York City. They got kind of beat on the initial through ball, but then they got in good enough position to kind of cut out the cross that came in, because otherwise that's a tap in if he gets through. So
yeah, Montreal having one of them games. Like I said, like I've been in a position playing in football where you're in New York's spot where you feel like we're under the cosh a bit, but I still think we can sort of smash and grab this. And then I've been in Montreal side where you feel like you've done everything and you've played well and you've been getting chances. It's just you're just never going to score in a month of Sundays, and it's just never going to go in. So I can see both sides, and it's frustrating from a Montreal standpoint, but it's the game. And I don't think they'll be like too disappointed. Like they shouldn't feel like they've been done 3-0 and just folded in this game. They've kind of just been one of them games where they've pushed and they've played pretty well, and on another day, like you said, it could be a lot closer game, or they could even be winning the game. It just is what it is. I think they've had a good season.
So is this kind of the last ride here for Montreal? Because obviously Victor Wanyama has said this is his last move. Georgi Mihailovic is out after the end of this season. Kone, obviously, a lot of teams are going to come calling for him. That's kind of the core of this team, right? There isn't really, Kyoto, but he's kind of older too. There's not really any other players that you go, that guy is really the one that makes the whole thing work, Like Alistair Johnson's a nice player. Kamal Miller's a nice player, but those guys on their own aren't going to put Montreal in a place to succeed. Is this going to be a team that regresses heavily next year, Montreal, or is this a team that, with the coaching and some of the pieces that they have that are staying, is this a team that can kind of keep where they are at?
Well, I think that they have a system that's effective, and I think it depends on recruitment. I don't think it's hard to find a player that fits Wanyama's role. I think they can do that with recruitment. Like, it's kind of a well-defined role that he does in the team. You can find guys to slot in there. It's hard to find the talent that Georgie and Kone have got, but they should have plenty of flexibility with them guys leaving. So it depends on the recruitment, and maybe if they bring in 3 guys with the talent, in them 3 positions, and they bring in a better goalkeeper, there's no reason beyond that, why they can't put in a good season like they did this year and be playoff contenders. I don't think it's the end. I just think it's obviously there's going to be a lot of change, and it's going to come down to recruitment and the work they do in the off season. So it's something to keep an eye on. But it's, that's the thing about the MLS. You just see these huge kind of roster shifts happening year in, year out, and there's so much unknown with it. And it's kind of, I wouldn't be like all gloom and doom, but yeah, there's definitely going to be some changes. But I think the system and the coaching, like we said before, is the value in this team. Georgie and Kone are great players, but they're not super superstars.
I don't know. Georgie has been basically a superstar.
He has, but I mean, he's been
unbelievable this year.
Yeah, but if you've got the DP spots and you've got the thing, you can find a player that can put production up, and maybe you can. I don't think it's all doom and gloom.
I don't even think is Georgie a DP.
I'm not sure, but they need to find the quality in those attacking areas. Otherwise, they just become a solid team that can't really hurt you.
I'm looking at Montreal's squad right now. So we got a message from our guy Juan, who says, "Let's go City." Obviously, a great day for City fans today. Moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals. It looks like Wanyama's a DP, and I think that's it.
Yeah, so they got moves.
Georgie is not a DP. He's just a homegrown. So Georgie being a homegrown, I think he's almost completely off the salary cap. So you're not really going to replace that, Like you can have another player that fills those shoes, but you're not gonna be able to pay zero for him, which is
but who's their DPs?
Just Wanyama.
Yeah, so they got spots open, right?
They got a ton of spots open.
They're gonna have three. They can bring in 3 DPs, and I think like the
they
core.
They obviously only played with one this year, though. So is that a money thing? Which, I mean, some teams just don't want to spend for big DPs, and Montreal is not typically one of those teams that brings in high-name DPs.
Sure.
Although Wanyama was, he played at Spurs and had a nice career, so
yeah, but
we'll see what they do. I think there's, even if they get a bunch of good players in, the transition period to MLS means that next year is probably not going to be Montreal's year. Just put it that way.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, they have like what I do like to look on the positive side is like they have that.
Pantelis came out of his box again. This time he made the play, but it's wild. Sorry, go ahead. You were saying?
No, I'm saying like if you just want to look at some positives though, I mean they almost have the base of their team. Like they've defensively been pretty okay this year. They've got a good shape with the 3 at the back and the wing backs, and them guys are just kind of individually just not scrub guys, but just like whatever guys. And then
right.
So now they actually, if they've got a solid base without spending too much of their resources for it, I think they get a better goalkeeper in. And then if you fill the Wanyama, Kone, Georgie and the forward position with 3 DPs out of the 4 positions, if you do that right, I think it's a little bit easier for them creative guys to settle in and into an already fixed structure than thing. So I think
it can be, but I'm just talking about like the travel and the just getting used to MLS. If they bring in guys from in the league, which is probably what they're going to do because that's kind of their MO. Like they bring Alistair Johnson over, they brought Kamal Miller over. Both those guys were in the league already.
Yeah.
So that makes more sense to me than like, hey, let's go buy Cristiano Ronaldo and stick him in here and then hope that he can travel and do all these things, then integrate into a whole new team. And, oh, by the way, we're going to finish second in the Eastern Conference again. That seems like a stretch to me if they're gonna try to do that. And I just don't think there's enough talent in the MLS, like superstar talent in the MLS that's available for them to realistically do it.
Who's potential then? Who do you think's potential? Who could go?
Actually, there's a ton of free agents this year.
Yeah.
Sean Johnson is one of those free agents. Aaron Long is a free agent. I'm trying to. There was a list that came out in sometime in the summer.
What if they got Joseph?
Joseph, yeah, I mean, obviously a great player, and I think he would. I don't know that he would. Well, what is Montreal's system? Like, are they a counterattack team? Are they gonna hold the ball for 65% possession? If they hold the ball 65% of the time, then that's great. But I feel like a lot of times they've just been playing very open games, and they haven't, haven't really defended great.
I think Joseph would do well in this team.
Yeah. No, in this game for sure, Joseph would have been a killer.
Yeah, because they got the creativity, and they do get the wing backs are, like we said, they're underrated. They're actually very effective. They've hurt them out wide this game, even though they haven't been able to score.
And just as you said that, wide cross into Georgi Mihailovic, and he bangs it in, and we're at 3-1. Montreal with a few minutes left to try to get something going here. We're into the 86th minute now, but they've pulled it back to within 3-1. Any chance here?
There's always a chance. We'll see, and then need another one quickly. But I mean, it blows my mind.
And that one was Sean John just completely missing that one.
Yeah, but you just, like you said about they're just letting them cross it in, and they're just hurting them every time.
And see, if this happens in the first half, like, this is a Sean John mistake here. It's headed right at him. He needs to make that save.
But I mean, it's hard.
If this happens in the first half, this is a totally different game.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, you should defend that, but it's hard for the centre backs to pick up. Like, that was obviously Georgie, and it was Akone in the first half. When you're in your back line and you've got a guy sprinting in from the edge of the box with a jump on you, it's not a situation you want to be as a defender. You've got to stop the cross, and they're just not doing it this game. I mean, it looks like they're going to get away with it today, but I would be concerned in the next couple of games.
So going back to the MLS free agents, Aaron Long, Daniel Saloy from Sporting Kansas City, Jonathan Osorio from Toronto, Giassi Zardes from Colorado, Alejandro Bedoya from the Union, Eric Remedy in San Jose, Anton Tinnerholm, another New York City guy, Sean John, Alexander Callens is a free agent after this season, Ola Kamara for DC United, Ryan Hollingshead at LAFC, and Franco Escobar at LAFC. So actually a good amount of talent is kind of available here that Montreal could go and kind of spend on, but we'll have to see how things play out.
Yeah, I'm excited for the off season, man. Like, it's really hard for Sorare to kind of plan around what plan ahead too much, but I've been kind of looking at it. I've been picking up some guys and hope to get lucky.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where you pick up guys now, and you kind of pick up the talented guys now, at least in my opinion. And then based on where they move and where they end up, and if there's new situations you want to take advantage of, then you kind of get those secondary pieces around it in the spring, if that makes sense. Like, that's how I kind of am looking at it.
There's enough uncertainty, and I picked up, like I said, that's basically what I've done with my Joseph Martinez. Like, I picked up his super rare, and I don't know where he'll end up or what his situation is, but he's just if his upside's huge. If he goes somewhere that suits him and he settles, he's just a quality player. He had his injuries this year, and he still was Atlanta's top scorer after being benched for most of the year. And it's kind of like that. You back the player, and then you just hope that he lands somewhere good.
Right.
And I think that Joseph Martinez card, the big head, but where he's I don't know if you've seen the card I've got. It's a jersey mint too, and he's just looking mean and angry. I think it's one of the coolest cards on the game. So I had to get it. I had to snag it while he's in the abyss.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good time to kind of go and buy those guys that are maybe not settled 100% in their situations.
I got a nice potential tip. I bought Emmanuel Lanzini super rare.
Yeah,
and obviously I know because I'm West Ham that he's very, very, very likely to leave at the end of the season, but maybe in January. Mm-hmm. And he is ex-River Plate, and he just got married, and he's said before that he'd love to play for River Plate again. So I took a gamble on that because obviously if a player like him goes to River Plate, he'll be fantastic. So if anyone's out there, if they can pick one up for cheap and want a bit of a gamble on it, that's a little tip there from a West Ham perspective.
That's the kind of stuff you only get here on live stream. So
yeah, I've been doing
give that stuff away for free normally.
I've been doing a few bits and pieces like that, a little bit of speculation, a little bit of just a little gamble, see how it gets on. I picked up an Alexis Sanchez super rare too, and my thoughts with him is like he's decent for Marseille this year, but then I think his contract's up, and I think it's very he bought a house in Miami. I know that, and I think he's got a decent chance of ending up in the MLS next year too. So, and I think he'll be a brilliant player and card in the MLS for a year or two.
How old is Alexis Sanchez?
He's old. He's like 33, 34, but he's one of them guys where like he's kind of got a bit of everything. He's like real good. He's not just a speed merchant. He's got quality. He's got like he's got a quick move. He's a bit like Insigne where he's like can move quick off the mark, and like it's not like sprint speed, but he can. I think he'll still be a good player. If he came to the MLS now, I think he'd be brilliant. I mean, he's doing really well for Marseille, so
yeah,
that's another MLS-related speculation that I kind of went with.
So this is something to watch here. Talles Magno about 3 minutes ago was just lying on the floor, just kind of holding his hamstring basically, and he still has not come back on the field yet. So that's a bit concerning. If it was just a simple injury, you kind of feel like he would be back out there by now. But he's still not back on the field yet.
Yeah, they're going to really
5 more minutes of stoppage time to go here. They've wrapped up his hamstring, and he's just walking. Doesn't look like he's on the field.
Yeah, it's not what you want to see. I think he's done. I think he's ran his race. Like 20 minutes.
So as we're just kind of wrapping up here the last 4 or 5 minutes of this game, Montreal's still kind of pushing a little bit, but it has felt like it's been over for a while, and that last goal kind of gave them a little hope, but they haven't really kicked on from there. So just kind of last thoughts here as we're wrapping up this little broadcast here.
Last thoughts is it played out like a real playoff game, I think, like a real cup game where, one team rode their luck, took their chances, and that was ultimately enough. I don't think Montreal, I don't think they blew this game or did anything. They played a good game. They were in there. It just wasn't their day. And on the flip side, New York just kind of everything went right at the right moments at the right time, and they took their chances and put it to bed, and they're on to the next round. And I'm looking forward to that fixture. I'm really looking forward to that game against Philly. So, we're moving on. And Montreal after big off season for them, like we said. So, but a great year for them, really, for the talent they had. They gave the fans plenty to cheer about, and credit to them.
Yeah, and we've just seen Montreal get 2 more fairly big chances. They didn't get anything on target until the very end of that corner. But even to the end, Montreal kind of goes down fighting and goes down with, attacking and still trying to get these 2 goals that they need back to push this into extra time. It doesn't look like it's going to be enough here. But, credit to Montreal. Today was not their day at all. Everything went against them. But that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. That's why we play these playoff games and we don't just go off the regular season standings, because anything can happen on the day. You just never know which team's going to show up, who's going to put the ball in the back of the net.
Absolutely.
Another semi-chance off a cross here, and New York ends up kind of dealing with it.
Yeah, I enjoyed doing the live stream though. I think we should try and do these again. It's pretty fun. I don't know. I couldn't see any of the chat or if anyone who was in here or who wasn't, but I
Yeah,
think in
the
the
chat was
future,
definitely lively, especially at the beginning. And I think if we do these pretty regularly, hopefully a lot of people would like to stop by and kind of watch the game with us. I had a lot more fun watching the game today than I think I would have otherwise.
I think that what would be fun is if we can figure out how to get these conversations from the chat, get people hopping on a call or something real quick, and we can sort of go back and forth about it. Just a little ask some questions and that be more interactive. That'll be good for next time. But yeah, we should try and keep this rolling.
Yeah, and we'll have to look at maybe just following NYC and doing the Philly NYC game in the next round. Try and get Quinny on here, maybe try and get somebody else on here. But it looks like that's gonna be just about all for Montreal. They've promised us 6 additional minutes. We've had 5. They still need 2 more goals. Montreal fans beginning to head for the exits as their season comes crumbling down here in the Eastern Conference semifinals. On to the Eastern Conference final again for New York City FC, a team that really was kind of devastated and couldn't. They were always a team that was very good in the regular season and couldn't get it done in the playoffs. And now the last 2 years, they have started to win playoff games that even maybe they shouldn't have been winning against teams that were, not more talented, but maybe better on paper, a little more defensively sound. And yeah, they've done it consistently here, beating New England last year. Here, this win over Montreal, both in the Eastern Conference semis, they both kind of feel like upsets. And now they'll get a rematch with Philly. This will be the full-strength Philly team, so this will be very interesting to see the revenge factor play out next year. We've had our 6 additional minutes and now just kind of waiting for that final whistle here. And obviously the injury situation too for NYC. They've had Chino go off, and now they've had Talis Magno go off. So it'll be interesting to see who's even available when they get to play Philly in the next round. And that is it. Final NYC officially has moved on to the Eastern Conference Final. So that's going to wrap up our stream for today. We thank everybody for stopping by. You can always catch the recording of this as we're going and get our thoughts here on our YouTube channel at Sorare in the States. Until the next time, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.